Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani here. Chris Mueller is there, which is 93.7 The Fan, as we open the phone lines for you at 412-575-2600. And Chris, baseball topping a lot of what's going on. We've seen 3 wild card series, even now at 1 apiece, which means there is a Game 3 in each one of these series: Cleveland, Detroit, San Diego, Chicago, Yankees, Red Sox, and whether or not we'll see one with Cincinnati, LA, who knows? Yamamoto's started to really settle in there. I think he's retired 13 straight Reds after they took a 2-0 lead. But the Pirates are not in there, and for people around here to watch playoff baseball, they have to go to Cleveland, like I know Andrew Filipponi did today, and he saw a good response by Cleveland. Let's talk about the Pirates, however, because they've decided to go in no direction, the same direction, keeping everyone, with the exception of some changes to their coaching staff. But your takes on Donnie Kelly and Ben Cherington returning?
I mean, Don Kelly returning should have been a sign. Like, if they had done that a day before they announced that Cherington was returning, you could have telegraphed it all and said, oh, yeah, okay. I mean, this makes sense. You don't let a new GM come in, or bring in a new GM, Bob, and then say, well, here's the manager you have to go with. And a new GM would have brought in their own manager. So Don Kelly, it was fine. I think people are going to overrate what he did a little bit because he's from here, and the guy before him was incredibly uninspiring and would have probably led this team to another 100-loss season. But I think before anyone gets ahead of themselves, you've got to remember the fact that Don Kelly was a 6 games under 500 manager. He was a .475 winning percentage manager. He was better than his predecessor, but that was a pretty low bar to jump over. That's not really the story, though, Bob, and I think you know that. I think most of the people watching and listening know that. The story is that Ben Cherington is going to be back for another year on the job. His 6 years that he's been GM, 6 seasons he's actually presided over since he took over in late 2019. They are 365 and 505. They are 140 games under 500. They are 53 games worse than the next worst team in the National League Central. Each one of those other 4 teams has made the playoffs at least twice, not just once, at least twice in that same span of time. The Pirates do not have a single winning season. They are responsible for 4 of the 6 worst individual seasons in the division during that time. What in the world could Bob Nutting and Travis Williams think is going to engender like any kind of optimism when they're bringing this guy back? No one's going to believe that anything different is going to happen. They're going to have another year of Paul Skeens before a looming potential lockout, and they're probably going to do very little with it. I mean, let's be honest here. Any hope you have for 2026 is pinned on Skeens being great, the rest of the young pitchers being great, and Connor Griffin being like the best rookie since Mike Trout. That's not an exaggeration, or I guess Shohei Ohtani, but he doesn't play both ways. So Cherington didn't deserve to be back. I think we have seen more serious franchises deal with better performance more harshly than the Pirates did, and this just shows me that from the owner's box on down, they are not a serious bunch, and they are not seriously committed to winning despite all their talk about urgent this and we need to do that. Actions speak louder than words, and their actions aren't saying much.
Plus, we've heard this rhetoric before, and they haven't delivered on it. So I went so far back as talking about the best management team in baseball back in the previous administration. So the words, you're right, mean nothing. It's about what you do. And what they will do in this offseason may be pretty much carbon copy of what we've seen. That's where I think it needs to change, given the fact that it's a short window with Paul Skeens. And you're right, 2027, there could be a lockout, which, depending on what happens in that lockout, there could be CBA changes, which will potentially affect arbitration, which will potentially affect free agency as we know it, because I think players, if they're going to give in to a salary cap and floor, then they are going to want something in return. And what that would be is, no, I'm not going to wait 6 years to become a free agent. That may be turned into 3 years before, then you get a second contract. There are a lot of things in play here. But as far as this coming season is concerned, I mean, they just got to do what's right. They have not drafted well. They have not developed well. That's one thing that Cleveland, Milwaukee, and teams like that have done. And if you're going to be in that market, that's what you have to do better than most. And if you don't, then you have to do something to supplement, and they haven't done either. So that's where we are. We're up against the break here, Chris. When we come back, we'll also talk about the Steelers and their 3-1 start and what it means. Are they now favored to win the AFC North? We're getting that and much more. Call us at 412-575-2600. It's the Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA Plus and most nights 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. Comes from Major League Baseball. How about 104.5 miles an hour? How about Mason Mueller? What he did last night, what he did today. Last night in a losing effort, today in a winning one. He came in and faced 3 batters yesterday, struck them all out, the pride of Bethel Park and Waynesburg. And then today, same thing, and he got up to 104.5 miles per hour. It's remarkable when you see that kind of stuff. It's also remarkable to see it from Aroldis Chapman, Chris, as we did yesterday. I mean, he's still going and still throwing the ball, not at 104, but he can get it up to 101 if he has to. And that's a pretty interesting story there with that series now going to 3 games as well. But Mason Mueller has been terrific. And who do you like in Game 3 of that series at Wrigley? Is it going to be the Cubs or is it going to be the Padres?
I mean, the heart says Padres here. I don't even know. The head might say Padres, too. I mean, I think the Cubs are really good, but the Padres are the new archetype for how you build a team for the postseason. They got a couple hitters, Tatis, Machado, among others, that they really count on. And then if they can get a lead and give it over to that bullpen, I think that bullpen pitched 5 1/3 scoreless innings today. That's what they want to do. So I want to make it very clear, though. I want the Padres to win the World Series, which has been my desire for the last several years. Ever since their late owner, Peter Seidler, actually spent money in like Market 28 and said, screw it, I'm going to give the fans a team that they can cheer for, and he has done nothing but reap the benefits of that. Well, they have done nothing but reap the benefits of the groundwork that he laid by getting better attendance, by getting fan base that's actually excited to watch them play. I look at them, and I know that eventually their bill will come due, but they continue to act every trade deadline and every offseason like they don't care about that right now. And so I would love to see that rewarded, because what I have stopped rooting for as an older, maybe more cynical or jaded or maybe just more realistic baseball fan is for these little engine that could teams that barely spend any money to navigate their way through a very random, small sample size postseason and win. Because then I think every time that happens, Bob, it justifies Rob Manfred saying, look, we don't have a problem in this sport. Look at all these plucky small market teams that win. So the Padres do it the right way. They are a team playing to win, and that's why I hope they win this series and win the whole thing.
Yeah, they might. They've done a very good job with that, and their fans have certainly come out to support their efforts there. All right, it's 412-575-2600. We're going to get into football in a second, but first let's get to our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night, even though it's Wednesday. I've all screwed ever since I came back from Ireland. I don't know what day it is.
How was Ireland, though, Bob?
It was
Hold
wonderful.
on a second. How was it?
It was wonderful. It's a great place to go and just hang out. They got pubs everywhere. Very nice people. It's a walk-around city. You don't have to always get an Uber or a taxi or anything else. And I thought it was great. And, you know, for the most part, safe, unless your name is Skylar Thompson. I don't know what happened there, but, you know, I thought the whole week was great. The weather was outstanding, and people showed up and enjoyed what they had, not only at the tailgate, which we'll see here in the draft coming up in April. The NFL handled that, and it was really well done. So they know what they're doing in that department, Chris. So I thought it was a very good trip, and of course, ending in a win, which is good because now they're 3-1.
Yeah, they're 3-1, and as cynical as you know me to be, Bob, it is very hard to look at the state of the AFC North around them and not sit there and go, wow, this, other than them losing to Seattle in probably a preventable fashion, that looks like a pretty decent Seattle team. So maybe not as much shame or angst about that game as you would have thought coming out of it. 3-1, other than going 4-0, how could this have shaken out any better for them? The Browns have a terrific defense, number one in the league in total defense, but they're still the Browns, and they have no offense, and they're starting a rookie in his first game ever this coming week. The Steelers get healthy and get right off of a bye week and presumably improve their line play, you would hope, a little bit more. The Bengals are a hideous 2-2 team. They looked awful against the Broncos. And now the Ravens are also 1-3. They've got like 7 major injuries on their defense, including Matabuke out for the year. Jackson's got a hamstring injury that most people think is 2 to 3 weeks at least. Harbaugh won't even speak in specifics about it. And even if he's healthy, their defense looks broken. Like, I am, as I said at the start of this, cynical about this stuff. Like, the Steelers could still absolutely mess it up, and the Ravens just played the hardest 4 games on their schedule, and the Steelers have their hardest games yet to come. But this has absolutely shaped up to be a season where they could steal a division if they play their cards right and win the games they're supposed to win.
And that would include the next 2. 3 of the 4 are at home. The next 2 against Cleveland and Cincinnati. And if they do that, they'll go 5-1 before they enter the teeth of their schedule, which includes teams like Green Bay, the Colts after that. Then you got Buffalo, Detroit, Baltimore. We'll see later in the year what the health situation is. But at this point, it looks pretty good. All right, let's go to the lines. And you see our KDKA.com Connect poll of the night, brought to you by Penn West University. Will the Pirates make the postseason by the end of the decade? Yes or no? And right now, the no's have it. Let's go out to Jimmy in Point Breeze. Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
To say sláinte and hope you had some good crack while you were over there in Dublin.
Well, there were a lot of great tours of whiskey and beer places, so it made for a very fun time. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I'm jealous. But the one thing I wanted to ask about was with Oscar Marine getting fired. So I heard some people speculate that it might be because Paul Skeens wasn't a fan of him, which I think is odd because he's a pretty stand-up guy, it seems like. And I don't know how much coaching he was even taking from Oscar Marine. I think the best thing for Paul Skeens is to not take any coaching from anyone and do his own thing. But then I was wondering, maybe was it Don Kelly that wasn't getting along with him so well? So I was wondering who you guys thought was more responsible for his termination. Was it Don Kelly or was it Paul Skeens?
Good question, Jimmy. And before I say anything about Skeens, I think as the guy who is going to be the Cy Young winner, as a guy who is a generational pitcher, he should be consulted on just about everything. That's the way I think it. He's earned the right. But I also think that, Don Kelly may be trying to just put together the staff he wants and not the one he inherited. So, but it is strange, Chris, you have to admit that a team that had so much going for it in the pitching department and the strength of their team fires the pitching coach and his assistant, and the guy who's responsible for the hitting, and Matt Haig, at this point still has his job.
I mean, I'm willing to bet that it has at least something to do with Skeens maybe having a better idea of somebody that he thinks could even help these guys get to another level. Maybe not acrimonious, but thinks that Marine might have a ceiling and that other guys could be helped more. I think the Don Kelly theory might hold some water. My personal theory, based on the little bit of chatter I've heard, is that it might have more to do with Skeens. I would almost say, though, if you're Skeens, unless you really have somebody that you could suggest that's going to make the rest of those guys even better, that Marine did a pretty good job bringing them along. Brent Strom, who's 75 years old, he's not a young guy. I had heard, Bob, that he resigned was the nomenclature, and that he might want to do something else for somebody else. But Haig being here still is abysmal. I mean, what else can I say about it? They fire Andy Haynes. They have horrible hitting talent. I mean, they do. But, and so you could say, like, well, Matt Haig, is he just going to be a fall guy? Like, how much does a hitting coach matter? I don't know. You should be able to have more than one player on your entire roster who qualifies as a league average or better hitter. They had one. They had Spencer Horwitz. Then every other guy on that roster was some degree of below average to flat out bad. Matt Haig did not do his job. And if this was a heads will roll situation and you're going to be evaluated on your performance, he would be out of a job today. But he's not.
Kirk and Madner, you're up right here on the Sports Call. Go right ahead, Kirk.
Hey, how are you men doing tonight?
We're good.
Happy
Thanks.
to talk to you, Irish. But, hey, real quick, why do you think they fired the Pirates, their pitching coach? Please explain this.
Yeah, well, we just did. I hope you were listening. I don't want to duplicate what we said because we don't have so much time.
Roll the tape? Hey, yeah. Roll the tape back so I can wipe my nose here again, since apparently my allergies have just never abated from the summer or the spring. I'll just loop back everything I said. I do think Paul Skeens had something to do with it there. That is like the bold statement I will make.
But I also think Johnny Kelly,
because he is the best pitcher we have ever seen in a Pirates uniform, he's going to get special dispensation on some things.
And he should. But Don Kelly may want his own staff, too. He inherited what he had to some degree. They made a change with the hitting coach But again, that wasn't even his call coming into the season. So let's go to Bill in
Bob,
Peters
you know
Township.
what?
Yes, what?
Well, no, I'll just say this. One tangible thing. Whoever they hire to replace Oscar Marin, if that pitching staff, even if Skeens is great, if the rest of that pitching staff doesn't come along the way they think it should next year, that is going to be a massively, and should be a massively scrutinized decision in hindsight.
Now, to me, more scrutinized with what they're doing this offseason. You'll get a good indication of whether or not they are full stop, trying to make this championship team. Let's go again to Bill in Peters Township. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
What's up, man?
Hey, I feel the frustration with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the season just like everybody else. And I'm trying to figure out Bob Nunning and his thought process. And the only thing I can think of, being a successful businessman and not a very good owner of a professional ball club, but do you think it's financial? Do you think that the contracts and hiring a new GM and hiring a new coach, and by doing that and shopping for somebody good would be very expensive? And
well, listen, money is always going to play a part. I'm going to say this, and we only have real quick time.
But he's proven willing to pay people to go away, Bob. He proved willing to pay Coonelly and Huntington and even Hurdle 8 figures combined to not work for him because he thought they were not the right people for the jobs anymore.
But my take on them is quickly this. He doesn't have to spend anything when it comes to player roster. He doesn't. There is no cap. There is no floor. He can do whatever he likes. Therein lies the problem. They don't make a lot of revenue compared to others. They make enough that they're going to be profitable, and I disagree with those who believe they have lost money over the years. I think they have been very profitable. They haven't won anything, though, so we got to take a break. Way over on that. Sorry about that, Jeremiah. We'll go to a break, come back with more right here on KDKA+. All right, welcome back. We continue right here with the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Chris, we only have about a minute left. Your take on Dylan Gabriel. We hit on this earlier. A lot of people were surprised it's not Shedeur Sanders, although it was Gabriel who was drafted ahead of Sanders. Do you think that'll ever change? Will he get a shot at some point? I know it sounds to me like if Gabriel doesn't succeed, that Flacco's still the backup and he'd be the first to come in.
Yeah, Flacco is still QB2 on their depth chart. They drafted Gabriel. I think if Gabriel was like 6'3 or 6'4, he's probably a first-round pick because there's a lot of polish and arm strength there. Mm-hmm. And from everybody I've talked to, Sanders is nowhere near ready to even be QB2. Just has not shown them enough. So he'll continue to be a very high-profile distraction. But if Gabriel plays well, I think it's his job to lose.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. As usual, we'll see you again tomorrow night, and that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you for joining us. Call us again every night, 7 nights a week, right here at 412-575-2600. Good night.